Aegon the Conqueror had commanded it built. His son Maegor the Cruel had seen it completed. Afterward, he had taken the heads of every stonemason, woodworker and builder who had laboured on it. Only the blood of the dragon would ever know the secrets of the fortress the Dragon Lords had built, he vowed. The Thoughts of Catelyn Stark, A Game of Thrones Chapter 18, Catelyn 4. The Red Keep is an iconic part of what makes King's Landing what it is by the time of the main book series. The whole city lives in its shadow, looming down from Aegon's high hill. It's the very centre of politics in Westeros, the seat of power for the kings of House Targaryen for nearly 300 years. And while from the outside, the huge looming castle, made of red stone, seems an imposing fortress, which it is also a practical and functional building, meant for the powers of Westeros to rule from. Thus, there is a lot more to this castle than you might first expect, more so than the obvious iconic locations, such as the throne room and the small council chambers, with countless forgotten and lesser known areas that have not yet been the focus of the story being told in the main books. So in this video, let's take a closer look at the Red Keep, its layout, and all the lesser known areas of it and how they fit into the wider castle. For the sake of clarity, we'll be looking at the Red Keep after the reign of King Jaehaerys I Targaryen. As for the latter part of the Targaryen era, until Robert's Rebellion, the castle remained largely unchanged. While we know little of the thought process behind Queen Visenya and Hand of the King Alan Stokeworth's vision for the Red Keep, what we can say is that visually it is as distinct as the other great castles of Westeros. Not only does its location on top of Aegon's high hill create an imposing silhouette in the skyline, the red stones stand out dramatically from the pale blue sky, despite looking huge and imposing. And while yes, the Red Keep is large, it is smaller than the castle of House Stark, Winterfell. It has 7 huge drum towers crowning the ramparts, presumably 7 towers for the 7 aspects of the faith. Traditionally, the heads of those executed in the Red Keep are displayed on the crenelles between the 2 towers that make up the Gatehouse for all those entering the castle to see as a warning. The main gate itself is huge and made of thick bronze with a portcullis and a narrow postern door. The immense barbican has the cobbled square in front of it. Behind the walls are small inner yards, vaulted halls, covered bridges, barracks of the City Watch of King's Landing, dungeons, granaries, kennels and stables. The Red Keep has Serpentine Steps, which can be strenuous to climb, given the sheer height of the main building. Maegor's Holdfast, the small council chambers, the Tower of the Hand, the Lower Bailey, a small sunken courtyard, and the Black Cells are located below the steps. The Great Hall, with the throne room, is found above the steps, and the outer yard, or ward, is found near the main gate. Also above the steps are the Godswood, the River Walk, the small kitchen, and the pig yard. The Royal Sept and the Maiden Vault are located above the Serpentine Steps as well. Relics of the Targaryen dynasty, such as dusty black suits of armour and dragon skulls, sit in some corridors. The throne room was a sea of jewels, fur, and bright fabric. Lord and ladies filled the back of the hall and stood beneath the high windows, jostling like fishwives on a dock. The Thoughts of Sansa Stark, A Clash of Kings, Chapter 65, Sansa 8. A case can be put forward that the most iconic part of the Red Keep is in fact the Great Hall, which contains the Iron Throne itself. It sits on a raised iron dais with high and narrow steps. A long carpet stretches from the throne to the hall's great oak and bronze door. The hall is huge, not of course as large as Harrenhal's Hall of 100 Hearths, but still large enough to be able to feast up to 1,000 people with ease, and plenty space nearby for overflow. The hall itself is orientated north to south, with high, narrow windows on the eastern and western walls. Traditionally, the skulls of the Targaryen dragons whom had died at various points once adorned these walls, until King Robert Baratheon had them moved to a cellar and replaced with hunting tapestries at the very start of his reign. There is a tale among the small folk Robert had them ground to dust, but the existence of the dragon skulls in the cellars to this day prove this is just a tale. Located behind the Iron Throne is the King's Door, a private entrance that connects to the private parts of the Red Keep. While it's not common, sometimes the small council conduct meetings inside the throne room, but they are mostly done in the small council chambers. Sansa pulled the hood of her cloak up over her ears and hurried towards Maegor's Holdfast, the castle within a castle where the Queen had promised they would all be safe. The thoughts of Sansa Stark at Clash of Kings Chapter 57, Sansa 5. Maegor's Holdfast is one of the most interesting parts of the castle, given it is a kind of a castle within a castle, a massive square fortress at the very heart of the Red Keep, named after King Maegor the Cruel, who had added it to the construction plan for the Red Keep. The Holdfast lies behind walls 12 feet thick, with a deep dry moat lying below with a bed of formidable iron spikes. Many poor souls have lost their lives to those very spikes. There is a single publicly known way in and out of the Holdfast, a large drawbridge spanning the moat. However, according to some secret tales, there is an egress built at the behest of King Maegor as an emergency escape route. Given the safety the Holdfast provides, the royal apartments are located in Maegor's Holdfast, including the king's own bedchamber. It is also home to its own great hall, known as the Queen's Ballroom, but it is much smaller than the throne room. The more graceful ballroom seats around 100 and has beaten silver mirrors across the walls, which makes the torchlight seem twice as bright. Its walls are panelled with richly carved wood, and it has a gallery above the main floor. High arched windows sit along the southern wall, looking across the castle below. The Holdfast is meant to act as a last line of defence should the Red Keep ever fall. When Cersei looked up, she saw the tower's crenulated battlements gnawing at a hunter's moon, and wondered for a moment how many hands and how many kings have made their home there over the past years. The thoughts of Cersei Lannister. A Feast for Crows, Chapter 12, Cersei 3. The Tower of the Hand is where the Hand of the King and his retinue reside. The tower's private audience chamber is not as large as the king's, but has Moorish rugs, wall hangings, and golden-tinted round windows that give a sense of splendour, as the Hand would often be entertaining lords and foreign dignitaries in the tower. The bedchamber is said to have a canopied bed and thick carpets on the floors. The room also has a large hearth, which also acts as a small door opening on a passageway known to Lord Varys, the Master of Whisperers, and presumably many Master of Whisperers before him. From this door you can climb down 230 stairs, which lead to the Chamber of the Dragon Mosaic, where half a dozen tunnels meet. Like Maegor's Holdfast, the tower has its own hall, known as the Small Hall. While still being smaller than the Great Hall and the Queen's Ballroom, the Small Hall is still larger than most Great Halls across the realm. It is a long room with high vaulted ceilings and a bench space for around 200. The tower has windows that overlook the great yard and the city below. The Red Keep shelters two sorts of people, Lord Eddard. Those who are loyal to the realm, and those who are loyal only to themselves. Varys the Spider to Eddard Stark. A Game of Thrones Chapter 30, Eddard 7. The keep is home to a large dungeon, which is accessed via the Traitor's Walk, a pathway leading to a small, half-round tower. The top floors hold cells for prisoners kept in a degree of comfort, such as knights or lordlings who might be ransomed, while the entrance to the dungeon itself sits on the ground floor. The floors below contain rooms for the King's Justice, the Chief Jailer, and the Lord Confessor. Maegor the Cruel, who oversaw the completion of the Red Keep, ordered that the dungeons below the squat tower have 4 levels. The top levels have cells with high narrow windows where common criminals are confined together in large open cells. Second level has smaller personal cells without windows for highborn captives not worthy enough for cells in the tower itself. Torches in the halls cast light through the bars, leaving a degree of comfort still. The third cells are the most feared of all the cells in the city, known as the Black Cells, and are smaller than those on the upper level by large degrees. They have doors of wood so that no light may enter them, with many men going mad behind those doors. The lowest level is used for torture, as to keep the sounds of the victims from travelling around the nearby castle. There is a secret path from the lowest level that leads to the Chamber of the Dragon Mosaic below the Tower of the Hand and the banks of the Blackwater Rush. The Red Keep has its secrets, known only to the dead. the writings of Gildain, Fire and Blood, the Sons of the Dragon. The Red Keep and Aegon's High Hill below it have a network of secret passages and tunnels ordered by King Maegor when he came to the throne while the Red Keep was still being built. This was to enable him to make a quick escape should his enemies ever trap him within the castle. The tunnels are supposedly full of dangerous traps, but how much truth there is to this we do not know, and if they are still active after all this time is another matter altogether. Some tunnels are of stone, while others are simply earth supported by timber. Some of these paths are so small a grown man must crawl through them. Some even pass close to other rooms in the Red Keep, allowing a hidden person to eavesdrop on conversations. It is not known if this was an intended use of the tunnels in Maegor's plans, or happened coincidentally. The bedchambers used by Lord Varys, the Master of Whisperers for King Aerys II and Robert Baratheon, contains a mechanism that causes his stone slab of a bed to float up and reveal a hidden staircase. It is not known, but very likely, that most Master of Whisperers also knew of these tunnels to some degree. One secret passage leads from the bedchamber at the Tower of the Hand to the chamber of the dragon mosaic below it. There is also a secret way to get in and out of the Red Keep onto the cliffs facing Blackwater Bay. Narrow handholds, impossible to see from the ground, have been cut into the very cliff face, so you can climb down to a trail beside the Blackwater Rush. Another passage out of the Red Keep passes by the Cellar of Skulls, in which is kept the skulls of the Targaryen dragons, which leads to the sewer that empties into the river. Maegor's Holdfast is the only building in the Red Keep that has no secret passages that connect to all these secret tunnels. There is one escape door in Maegor's Holdfast, but it doesn't connect to any of the other secret passages in the Red Keep. People familiar with the secret passages include Maegor himself, Cheese of the infamous Blood and Cheese incident, Lord Larys Strong, the Master of Whisperers for King Aegon II, Lord Varys the Spider and his little birds, and Lord Peter Baelish, the Master of Coin for Robert Baratheon. I had no home but the White Sword Tower, Barristan Selmy to Daenerys Targaryen, A Dance with Dragons Chapter 11, Daenerys 2. The White Sword Tower is a slender 4-story structure built into an angle of the castle wall overlooking Blackwater Bay, and is the home of the 7 Knights of the Kingsguard. The first floor contains the common room for the Kingsguard, known as the Round Room, and as the name of the tower suggests, it's circular and white. White wall hangings decorate its whitewashed stone walls, and white shields and 2 crossed longswords are mounted over the hearth. The room contains a large weirwood table, carved into the shape of a shield, supported by 3 white stallions, and 3 knights sit on each side. The chair of the Lord Commander, old black oak with blanched cowhide cushions, sits at the top of the shield. The common room also contains the White Book. The undercroft of the tower holds arms and armour, while the second and third floor holds the small spa sleeping cells for the 6 brothers of the Kingsguard. The topmost floor contains the apartments of the Lord Commander. His room is sparse as well, but spacious. The sun has not yet touched the top of the castle walls, but he could smell breads baking and meats roasting. The Thoughts of Tyrion Lannister, Storm of Swords, Chapter 60, Tyrion 8. There are many other, smaller buildings as part of the Red Keep. The Council Chamber hosts meetings of the Small Council. Within contains a long table, at the head of which may sit the king, or the hand of the king when the king is not present. The chamber is richly furnished with Myrish carpets, a carved screen from the Summer Isles, and tapestries from Lys, Norvos, and Cahor. The chamber door is flanked by 2 Valyrian sphinxes. The door is often guarded by a knight of the Kingsguard when the council is in session, and usually multiple if the king is present. The room is well furnished, given high lords and guests from Essos often meet with the small council. We also have the Maiden Vault, where King Baelor the Blessed kept his sisters locked up to avoid being tempted by them. The Maiden Vault is a long keep with a slate roof located near the Royal Sept. The Kitchen Keep is located across the courtyard from the main kitchens of the Red Keep, and occupants can often see and smell food being prepared for the main keep itself. Below the Kitchen Keep is a gloomy cellar with a vaulted stone ceiling, and the keep connects to the other buildings through underground passageways. The Godswood of the Red Keep is an acre of elm, elder, and black cottonwood trees that overlook the Blackwater Rush. The Heart Tree is a great oak with limbs overgrown with smokeberry vines. Princess Marcella Baratheon is known to have had a garden located near the Godswood. There is also, of course, the Rookery, which is the home of the ravens used by the Maester of the Citadel, serving on the small council, with the Grand Maester himself having chambers beneath the rookery.